iOS emulation is finally here and the competition is now tight. Yes, boys and girls, iPhone users can finally rest since after all these years, there's now an iOS emulator called Delta. Well, boys and girls, I'm Sir Elixir and let's get straight into it and learn more about Delta. iOS. So yeah, side note before we start, from what I heard from other people on Facebook, because I found out about this emulator on Facebook, what I heard is that this emulator for just now, okay, it is just an a Nintendo emulator for now. So that means you're gonna be able to play like Sega games, okay, or like maybe PS1 or PS2 or maybe PSP games, okay. But for now, okay, so yeah, let's just get straight into it. And the source for this information is from an article by Geek Culture. I hope I am watching it, okay. So it says free Nintendo emulator Delta brings retro gaming to Apple App Store. Sorry for that. As you can see, it is like on the 19th of April, which is like yesterday from the time I'm recording this video, Kim. So it starts by saying the addition of emulators on the Apple App Store marks a significant milestone for the retro gaming community. And developer Riley tested, hope I'm watching his or her name, okay, is here to serve is icing the icing on the cake. The free-to-play Delta emulator is now officially available on the platform, bringing support for several Nintendo consoles from the yesteryear, including the NES, N64, and even the Nintendo DS. The app is compatible with Bluetooth controllers and offers quicker input methods such as what the heck? I'm sorry for like words not coming right, okay? Whatever cross scope features and microphone controls as seen in titles like Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney. More notably, it can also run Sega Genesis games, with the App Store listing teasing future support for more unspecific emulators. So as I said, it doesn't run Sega Genesis games, okay? Because I felt like, because I read this article today morning, in the morning, okay? And so after reading it, I went to Facebook to try and find out if it can run Sega Genesis games. And then by coincidence, I ran to a post by someone who said, like, who had a screenshot of the app saying it doesn't, like, couldn't find his Sony game, okay? He, like, wanted to, like, scan maybe his Sony game, and then he couldn't find it. And the people in the comments told him that it doesn't run Sega Genesis games, not but for now only. So this means if you wanted to play like Sega Genesis games, well, you have to wait a little bit, okay? Or maybe you have to get yourself an Android device, okay? So let's just continue. There are other nifty touches as well, such as layout customization, extra buttons for mapping various functions, custom image creation, and multiplayer support for the NES, SNES, and N64 up to 4 players, as well as AirPlay streaming. Most of these are new, bearing the latter two. To those who are familiar with the software, which was released in 2019 in its version 1.0 state, considering the 5-year experience, Delta will likely be one of the most reliable and polished emulators on iOS devices for a while. The app is in good spot too. RGBA, built by ripping off testers' code, was removed from the digital storefront due to spam and copyright rule violations, while Blimy was withdrawn by its developer over fear of Nintendo's recent crackdown on emulators. So again, this, like, begs a question of whether this will mean that, emulation might die quicker, okay? Because as we know, most emulators are now dying, okay? First it was IFA SX2 for Android, a PS2 emulator, but that was just because the developer of the app was getting death threats, okay? But again, we got another emulator that got taken off, which is Yuzu, a Nintendo Switch emulator, because of Nintendo. So for me, I don't know if this is going to be bad news for most people, but what I think is that, but I would just hope this ain't gonna happen, because as you know, I hear from most people who use iPhone, they say that Apple stores can track your activity on the iPhone. So what I think is, since most people, not most people, but rarely you can find this, rarely, but people kind of like pirate games, okay? So what I wonder is if maybe iPhone could allow people to pirate these emulator games. Okay, if so, it might raise suspicions to Nintendo and stuff getting. If so, like Nintendo can find this emulator, it might get Nintendo to also find the emulators on Android. Okay, so this for me kind of makes it really hard for emulation, but at the same time it just shows that emulation will never die, since now iOS now got an emulator, which is something that we thought was gonna be hard. Okay, but here we go, we now got an iOS emulator. And because I couldn't find like those posts, since I don't use Twitter. Okay, like that post, I saw it on Facebook. Somebody posted that picture from Twitter. I couldn't find the picture again. I said I was gonna save it for this video, but I don't know why I didn't save it. Okay, and so that picture was of somebody who, from his post, he said he was talking about Delta and how it is the best optimized emulator on iPhone. Okay, and then in his comments he said that it is way better than all the Android emulators. And in my mind I was like, dude, chill out. Have you ever heard of RetroArch? Like, a nigga comes, okay, sorry for saying a nigga, I don't know if he was black or white. Okay, but I'm just gonna say a nigga, for having an emulator for just a day or 2 days, less than a week, now comes up and says it is better than Android emulators. Nigga, you better chill out. Okay, so yeah, that is all that I had to talk about. Since I use an iPhone, I was gonna show you the app and how to use it, but since I use an iPhone and I don't want to take somebody else's videos and maybe put them on my channel, on my video without their consent, unless if you want to know how to set it up, I can find some articles on the website that tell us how to set it up, and then I show you a video just reading for you. Okay, or you can just search on YouTube. There are many videos. I'm pretty sure by now there was a video like when I was on YouTube this morning of ETA Prime. You can search him. He dropped a video about this emulator on how to set it up. Okay, he's one of the best guys when it comes to setting up emulators, whom I trust. So you can check him out if you want to set it up and you are using an iPhone. It is now on the App Store. You can check it out. And yeah, that's all that I had to talk about. Well, boys and girls, emulation will never die. That's all that I had to speak about. Subscribe for more videos, and yeah, I'm gonna play my PSP or PS2 emulator games, since iPhone users can play them for now. So yeah, that's all that I had to speak about. So yeah, peace.